Annabelle sat in the desolate living room of their cramped military housing, cradling Alice's 8-month-old son, Michael. The weight of the world, a crushing burden of grief and betrayal, settled upon him. Alice, trapped in a nightmarish battle of wills with Elliot on the astral plane, remained oblivious to the devastation unfolding around her. The day she had surrendered to despair, the day her humanity had shattered into a million pieces, still haunted Annabelle, a wound that refused to heal. The brutal beating he had endured at Elliot's hands had left him broken, both physically and spiritually. It had taken months to recover. Yet, even in his weakened state, he had found the strength to send a desperate message to the tongueless one, a plea for help against the encroaching darkness. He had risked everything, knowing that Elliot's wrath would be swift and merciless if his betrayal were discovered. But he could not stand idly by while Alice, the brave soul trapped within this broken vessel, drifted further into oblivion. Alice had no awareness of her 8-month-old son, no grasp of the chaos that had consumed her life. She was a ghost, a shadow of her former self, and Elliot, ever watchful, waited for any sign of weakness, any flicker of disloyalty. On the astral plane, Elliot's voice, raw with desperation, echoed through the empty halls of their shared palace. Alice, Alice, please, baby, talk to me. Each time Alice slipped into unconsciousness, he was there, waiting for her return, hoping to rekindle the spark of their shared past. But the Alice who returned was a hollow shell, her eyes vacant, her soul lost in a sea of despair. Tyrion, fix her, damn it. Elliot raged, his voice cracking with pain. Tyrion, his eyes gleaming with a cold, calculated wisdom, chose his words carefully. My lord, this affliction runs deeper than any spell I can weave. She is infected by Asherah, the defiant goddess who continues to thwart your will. Then fix Asherah. Give me back my Alice. Elliot snarled, his voice a venomous whisper. I have a way to force her back to Liam, my lord, Tyrion offered, his voice laced with a subtle hint of malice. But be warned, Asherah will never forget this. What twisted act must I commit now? Elliot spat, his voice filled with disgust. It's time, Tyrion declared, his voice cold and resolute. It's time to take everything from her. He summoned his dark powers, weaving a spell of despair and destruction, a curse that would shatter Alice's world, leaving her broken and begging for salvation. He watched as the spell descended upon her, a dark cloud engulfing her fragile existence. In the real world, Alice's senses were overwhelmed by a sudden wave of despair. She cried out, her voice a desperate plea lost in the echoing silence of their military housing. She clutched her children close, her heart pounding with a fear she couldn't comprehend. The world around her dissolved into a chaotic blur, the walls closing in, the shadows whispering threats she couldn't understand. Her fragmented memories, her fractured identity, her shattered dreams, they all converged into a vortex of despair, pulling her down, down, down into the abyss. Where did this baby come from? Where am I? How did I get here? Alice was consumed by confusion. She had no recollection of ever being pregnant again. How much time have I lost? She clutched the 8-month-old baby to her chest, trying to calm her panic. Then she noticed Eric. He was yelling something, his face contorted with rage. I said I'm taking the kids, you stupid cow, he screamed. I was awarded custody. Hand them over, or I'll call the cops. You're already getting kicked out of the Navy. Do you want to go to jail, too? Alice's heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror. Where's Ernest? Why is this happening? Eric, please, she begged, tears streaming down her face. Let's just talk. Please don't take my babies. They're all I have. You have cocaine in your system, he sneered, his eyes filled with contempt. You're an unfit whore. Now give me my son. He ripped the 8-month-old baby from her arms, the sound of Michael's cry echoing through the empty house, a haunting lament. Alice collapsed onto the living room floor, her gaze fixed on the empty doorway. She had no idea what was happening, no grasp of the reality that had shattered her life. As she watched her entire world walk out the door, her eyes closed, surrendering to the sweet oblivion of madness. A soul death, a final surrender.